On April 14, 1865, just 5 days after the end of the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln was attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. The nation was beginning to heal from 4 years of conflict, and Lincoln was looking forward to a quiet evening with his wife and friends. The Lincolns arrived at Ford's Theater to watch a performance of Our American Cousin, a popular comedy. They sat in the presidential box on the second level, overlooking the stage. The theater was crowded, and the mood was celebratory. Earlier that day, Lincoln had met with his cabinet to discuss plans for Reconstruction and bringing the country back together. He spoke of his hope for a peaceful future and his desire to see the nation reunited. That evening, a well-known actor named John Wilkes Booth entered the theater. Booth was a Confederate sympathizer who had opposed Lincoln's policies and believed the South had been wronged. He had spent weeks planning to strike a blow against the Union government. Booth had learned of Lincoln's attendance and saw an opportunity. He waited until the play reached a moment of laughter, when the audience's attention was on the stage. At approximately 10:15 p.m., Booth quietly entered the presidential box. He approached the president from behind and fired a single shot from a Derringer pistol. Lincoln slumped forward in his chair. Booth shouted a phrase from the play, Sic semper tyrannis, meaning, thus always to tyrants, and jumped to the stage below. He landed awkwardly, breaking his leg, but managed to flee the theater on horseback. Panic erupted in the theater as people realized what had happened. Lincoln was carried across the street to the Peterson House, where he was attended by doctors. He never regained consciousness and died the next morning, April 15, 1865, at 7:22 a.m. The nation was plunged into mourning. Flags were lowered to half-staff, and the search for the assassin began immediately. The assassination was not an isolated act. John Wilkes Booth had organized a larger conspiracy aimed at decapitating the Union government. His plan included simultaneous attacks on Vice President Andrew Johnson and Secretary of State William Seward. George Atzerodt was assigned to kill Johnson at his hotel, but lost his nerve and fled. Lewis Powell attacked Seward at his home, severely injuring him and others, but Seward survived. Booth's motive was rooted in his belief that Lincoln was a tyrant who had destroyed the South. As a famous actor and Confederate sympathizer, Booth had access to elite circles and used his status to gather information. He had been in contact with Confederate agents and other plotters who shared his views. After shooting Lincoln, Booth fled south across the Potomac River into Maryland and then Virginia. He was aided by sympathizers who helped him evade capture for 12 days. On April 26, 1865, Union soldiers tracked Booth to a tobacco barn on the Garrett Farm near Port Royal, Virginia. After refusing to surrender, the barn was set on fire. Booth was shot by Sergeant Boston Corbett and died shortly afterward. His body was taken to Washington for identification and burial. The other conspirators were arrested and tried by a military tribunal. Mary Surratt, Lewis Powell, David Herold, and George Atzerodt were convicted and executed on July 7, 1865. 4 others received prison sentences. The trial was controversial, as it was conducted by military commission rather than civilian court. Booth's diary, recovered after his death, detailed his plan and motives. He viewed himself as a hero striking a blow for liberty, comparing his act to Brutus killing Caesar. The assassination occurred at a pivotal moment, just as the nation was beginning Reconstruction. Lincoln's death elevated Vice President Andrew Johnson to the presidency. Johnson's policies differed from Lincoln's, leading to conflicts with Congress and a more punitive approach toward the South. The loss of Lincoln left the country without his steady leadership during a critical period. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln sparked immediate questions about whether John Wilkes Booth acted alone, or as part of a larger plot. The military tribunal that tried the conspirators concluded that Booth had organized a conspiracy with several accomplices. The evidence included meetings, letters,
and witness statements linking the defendants to Booth's plan. Some historians have questioned whether the conspiracy extended beyond the small group convicted. Theories have included involvement by Confederate leaders, particularly members of the Confederate Secret Service or agents operating in Canada. Booth had traveled to Montreal in late 1864 and met with Confederate agents there. Documents show he received funds from unknown sources during his time on the run. Another theory suggests involvement by Northern radicals or political rivals who opposed Lincoln's lenient Reconstruction plans. These claims have never been substantiated with credible evidence. The 1865 military trial was criticized for its speed and lack of civilian due process. In 1866, the Supreme Court ruled in Ex parte Milligan that military tribunals could not try civilians when civilian courts were functioning. This decision cast doubt on the legality of the tribunal's proceedings. In later decades, some researchers examined the possibility of government cover-ups or overlooked evidence. The missing pages from Booth's diary and discrepancies in witness testimonies fueled speculation. Modern historians generally agree that Booth acted with a small group of accomplices, motivated by Confederate loyalty and personal grievance. No evidence has emerged to support broader involvement by the Confederate government or Northern political figures. The assassination remains one of the most studied events in American history. It has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and films. The Ford's Theater site was restored and reopened as a museum in the 1960s. The Peterson House, where Lincoln died, is also part of the Ford's Theater National Historic Site. The case continues to be examined for insights into political violence and the impact of assassination on national leadership.
The assassination of Abraham Lincoln on April 14, 1865, was a turning point in American history. It removed a leader who had guided the nation through its greatest crisis and left Reconstruction to others with different views. The loss of Lincoln contributed to the challenges and divisions that followed the Civil War. His vision of a reconciled nation with malice toward none and charity for all was left unfulfilled. The event marked the first assassination of a U.S. president and set a precedent for security measures that evolved over time. Ford's Theater and the Peterson House remain preserved as memorials to Lincoln and the events of that night. To this day, in 2026, the assassination continues to be studied and debated. Historians examine the motives, the conspiracy, and the broader impact on the nation. The case serves as a reminder of the fragility of leadership and the consequences of political violence. What do you think? Was John Wilkes Booth acting alone, or was there a larger conspiracy? How did Lincoln's death shape the country? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. If historical mysteries and high-profile cases like this keep you thinking, subscribe to our True Crime and turn on notifications for new deep dives every week. Because some events, no matter how long ago they occurred, still shape our understanding of the past. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and stay curious.